Welcome. Welcome. Come on in, say hello when you do. I am just sharing right now. I want you to come and join me as we talk to our author for today. We're going to be talking to Hazel Gale-Daley about her newest book. So thank you for joining me. I am Dr. Jewel Williams. I am the owner of Tri Production Publishing, where we help the author in you win in publishing. So today, for those that are going to watch us live, thank you for joining. Again, I'm still just sharing out, so that's why I'm just kind of talking. It used to be really easy to share on Facebook. They've made it a little more complicated. So just give me a second so I can share it to some of my other business pages. But as I'm talking, I want you to join us. I'm excited to hear and for Hazel to share her journey into her second book. This is her second book. And for those that didn't know that, I might also have her just kind of talk a little bit about her other book as well. For those of you who did not know, this will be her second book. So just give me a moment. And for those that will be listening to the different podcasts, this will be shown at will be aired at a different time. So you'll get a chance to hear it via my podcast, one on Amazon Music and Spreaker and some of the other podcasts. So that will be shown or be displayed later in the month or either in May. So let me just do this. I'm almost there. So let me change and share it to the last space that I want to share it. All right. Thank you for your patience. All right. So again, I want to welcome you to today's show. So let me bring on our guest. This is Hazel Daley, and I want her to introduce herself to you. So welcome, Hazel.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I'm Hazel Gale-Daley, and I'm here with you this afternoon to share my experiences as a published author with my second book, Give Kids an Early Start with Heart. The first one was a cookbook, a Jamaican cookbook, Cooking the Jamaican Way. And because of my previous experience, I was really excited to go into my second book. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoy this podcast.
Wonderful. So what we're going to do, we're going to ask our author a few questions, and we're just going to kind of share along. And of course, if you join and you have any questions, you can put them in the comment and we will try to answer them as well, whether you have questions for Hazel or even for me. So the first question I want to ask you is, what inspired you to write this book?
My inspiration came from two things. First, my lack of art experiences during my early childhood years and my desire to highlight the importance of art to the development of young children during their early childhood years.
And that's really, really interesting because so that was your inspiration. And so, a lot of times many of us can be inspired to do something, but how did you then come up with the ideas to put together to make this book? What was your steps in doing that?
So the idea came about, as I said before, because I enjoyed my first book. And then I keep thinking about what is going on in the early childhood sector.
Mm-hmm.
I have attended many workshops. I had facilitated many trainings. I have done several observations in the classrooms, and art has never been something that was given much attention. And being as a graduate student,
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot.
Mm.
So the fact that I learned a lot and I see the importance of art and the fact that I didn't get the opportunity to actually learn some creative art stuff, I decided that I need to do something. As an educator, I need to try to shed some light on the importance and hope that people will pay attention.
And and that's really, I mean, that's commendable as well. One of the things that when one of my daughters, she went to school, and her education, she's an educator, and hers is in like early childhood. And so she would tell me often about how she would go to her classes and they would talk about art and creative things. And she would tell them about how we had stuff like Williams Camp. And I had art as part of that program that I did for them, even as kids. Who knew that how important it was? I just thought, everybody as a parent, schools, teachers did all that. So it wasn't until later when my kids became adults that I began to find out that as you were saying, it wasn't so much part or prevalent in all of the education. And so I think that's really noble for you to even bridge this to kind of help those both educators and parents alike. So, what has been the most challenging aspect for you in your writing career so far? I probably could name a few, but I'm gonna let you.
I will speak about the ones that stand out. So I have challenges if I see a picture that belongs to another author or a quote. I know that I cannot just take it and use it because it doesn't belong to me. And
Right.
and sometimes I request permission and I never get a response. But the Lord has helped me to realize I can create my own. So I've been creating my own. It may take a little while to come to tuition. However, when it's all done, it belongs to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And that's an interesting point you make. About using quotes, because in one of my books I did need to use like some statistics and stuff, and so it took me some due diligence to finally get to it. But once I was able to get to the source of whose quote it actually was, they just told me they wanted to have me write it in the front of my book a particular way, or when I quoted them a particular way. Now some places charge, so the ones that charged, I didn't use those, but the ones that gave me free permission, I used those and I did quote them. So that's just a good point to bring out to anyone. If you're using someone else's work, don't just put it in your book. You really do need to do your due diligence to either see if you can get them to give you the permission, and hopefully you won't get the silence treatment like Miss Daly did. So,
Yes.
were there any other challenges for you?
Not really, God is good.
Yeah, yeah. So then how did you balance your writing demands with your personal life and other responsibilities? Because you're an educator, so you have a job, you have a family. So how did you manage to balance all of those at the same time?
So I have a full-time job,
Yeah,
9 to 5.
yeah,
However, I am an empty nester. So there are no kids in the home right now.
yeah.
And so I find it very easy to balance my writing time. I write when I'm alone.
Yeah.
I always write when I'm alone. I focus a lot more. So I would write early in the morning, very late at night,
Hmm.
and sometimes during the day. And information just flow easily. Whichever time I sit down to write, information just flows.
And that's really good. And really, when you think about that, like I'm in the same boat with you. All of my children are grown. I still have one that hasn't left the house yet, but basically I don't have to take care of her or take her anywhere. She's an adult. But I have the flexibility to write. So like for somebody who's writing that has small children, your standards still will work in the sense that you just got to find the time that works for you. Maybe you have to get up earlier when your children are sleeping, or maybe once you put them down, you can write at night when it's kind of quiet, less stress, less worrying about the phone ringing or those kind of things. So you just got to really find what works for you.
Yes.
So can you describe how was your writing process like from start to finish? Did you have any specific routines, or was there a certain schedule you followed? I know you mentioned that you kind of, whenever you sit down and write, it was flowing, but did you try to set up some particular specific routines?
My writing process is very simple. I go about writing whatever comes to mind. I write on paper. I just keep writing it on paper and keep putting it down. Then when I have completed my first plot, there are three plots in writing. You can also call it the beginning, the middle, and the end. So when I finish my first plot, I treat all of them the same. So I write them down, and then I go to my computer. I go to my computer and I will put them in and I read it through. And I always make sure that I have two individuals who can edit,
Hmm.
review, and make suggestions on my manuscript, whatever I write. And so after I put it in the computer and read it through, then I would have those individuals go through. And when they send back that material to me, I will make changes to their suggestions. After I made the changes, I read it through. And during that time when it's away being edited, I am going through making sure that I do my research to find information to substantiate some valid points. Because you can't just have throw some critical points out there without some backup, proof to solidify
Yeah.
that information. And so I would do that, and then I would add that to my manuscript. Then I'll read it through another time. And after that, it goes to my coach,
Mhm.
and we keep working on the information from there. So
Yeah.
it's not a one, two, three, and it's done.
No.
No, not at all. And then normally the title of the book is the last thing that's decided. So it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, yeah. I like what you said about how you have to go and do a little research. I remember I think it was in my master's program, my teachers instructors actually said, "I don't really care what you think. What can you prove?" And that's really a key point, especially depending on what you are writing. See, as a writer, it's not really just on your opinion. So you can have one, but you are trying to really present your book as an authority of some sort. So even if it's an authority on your life, you still need to put something in there that validates why you came to a particular conclusion or point in your writing. So I think that's really a good. And I like what you said about that. It's this continuing process. I try to tell people all the time that I coach. By the time you get through with your book, you're going to be tired of reading it because you're going to have to read it so much. You're going to have to read it again and again and again and again. And even in our reading it as much as we can, we still can miss stuff. So
Definitely.
that is why it's really, really key to do that. So how did you or it did you have any times where you found yourself with like a creative challenge or writer's block? And if so, how did you handle that challenge during your writing process?
I am very, very grateful I never had any writer's block or any significant challenge that my coach could not walk me through.
Yeah.
What I do, I think it's because I write based on my own experience.
Hmm.
So I have that inner foundation. I have that baseboard. So I build on what I have. I and then I put it on paper before I put it to the computer. So if you are writing something as an author or someone who decides that they want to write, you have to have a solid foundation for your writing. So I don't have those challenges because I write based on my experience and then I build on what I write. And God, He gives you what He needs you to write. He had stuff to it. So I'm grateful for that as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good idea. And I mean, the thing is, everybody deals with and have different experiences in their writing. But what I like that you said about that foundation part, especially if you're writing anything based on life experiences, you do have that foundation, so you should be able to pull from that place. And of course, sometimes it's not the problem of what to write. Sometimes it's the editing down that can be a problem because you've got so much good resource. So what advice would you give to somebody that's aspiring to be a writer?
My advice is very simple, very straightforward. If you would like to become a writer, write everything down that comes to your mind that you consider to be important.
Hmm.
Put it on paper. Now, because of technology, you may not want to put it on paper. Maybe you want to go directly to your computer, but write it down. And after you write it down, you need, and all of that depends on what you want to write about.
Hmm.
So you write it down, and then you have to seek out a very good coach. Find a good coach, and then you need to find at least two individuals who are trained or certified or have experience in the area that your topic is in.
That's good.
So you have to do all of those things. And if you are writing and you somehow get tired or you're feeling a little stress, you might feel a little stress on your neck, I encourage you to walk away. Take a walk away and then you can come back next time.
Yeah.
It's a long road, so don't try to rush it. It's a
Yeah.
long road.
And I love that. I love that. You can see, because you've probably seen it on Facebook, you see the people like, write your book in 10 days, 30 days, it's completely published. Now, I'm not saying that can't happen because I've done it. But the point is, my stuff was already written. Generally, if you're writing something for the first time, even maybe the second or third time, it's okay. Don't feel as though you have some imaginary timer that's telling you have to get this done um, at a particular time. And so I think that's really key to make sure you have those resources the way that you have. What somebody just commented, said, yeah, they were getting emotional as they were writing. And so
Yeah.
some things, depending especially on what you're writing, you can feel, because if you're writing, especially if you're writing anything related to your life journey, you can feel and relive some of those emotions. So sometimes you got to take a step away and come back. But the whole point is you allow yourself to really go through the journey, to be able to do what is necessary. So one of the things you said you have some key people to work with you. One of the person that I just interviewed before, she also said she had a team, and so it's okay to realize that you still need a team. Your team may be different than her team, but you need some sources. So for you, especially with this book, you were writing about something educational, and so you needed someone to make sure that you were in line. So you do have somebody that you could do it that way. And then one of the things you need is an editor. So discuss the importance for you of editing and revising, excuse me, in your writing process.
So before we get to that, my book is educational.
Yeah.
So I used one person that is as her doctorate in um, middle school education,
Okay.
and the other person is a consultant in early childhood education. I have my master's in early childhood education. So that comes together, makes a good team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And so before you answer that question, I need you to give a shout out to because you just said who they were, but we want to personally thank your team by name, and it's okay for you to name them so that we can say thank you to them for their helping you in this process.
So you're gonna get me in trouble now because there are some individuals who are
Okay, well
who
then don't say no names. We don't want to get you in trouble.
no, the trouble is individuals like classroom teachers who they did the questionnaire.
Got you.
So I have to name them out.
Okay,
So
well I tell you what, if you don't want to name them, you could just tell me in general how you got some help. So you did surveys as well. You said
yeah, so the surveys. So I did surveys with classroom teachers, and I'm a Jamaican by birth. So
no
one
kidding.
of my teachers is in Jamaica,
Okay,
and I use another teacher here who works in the Head Start program. And I work in Head Start, I work in the daycare center, and I work in preschool for all. So those I interviewed those just to see the difference because being in Jamaica, and in the United States, I did that just to see how well it balanced or what was the difference. Yes. So and then I had some of my pictures came from another teacher who works at a daycare center.
okay.
So I explained to her what I was going to do, and she was able to get permission to give me those pieces of work without kids' names on them. And so yeah, one of my editors were Michelle.
Hmm.
Okay, so she was Michelle, and the other one was Bernice.
And
Yes.
and and what's nice about that is you had a full team. I mean, you had people that was not only helping you, and I think sometimes we have to realize like writing is sometimes like a team sport. You kind of need some teammates. You're the main player, so to speak, but it's okay to seek help, especially if there's areas that you don't know or there's areas that you need clarity about. I just think that's really great that you had this. So I would suggest to any author, even in your writing process, find somebody that you can have read your book that's going to tell you truthfully how it's faring out. Not just somebody just go, oh, because they love you, they go say it's a nice book. They need to tell you, does this make sense? Do I need to fix some things? Because you don't want them just saying it's lovely and then you put it on the market and it doesn't sell because it's not what you thought it was. So you had people that were willing to really help you in that. So back to my question about the editing and revising in your writing process. How important was that for you?
So if you want to have a good read, you want to provide credible material for um, individuals to read, it is very important that you have editing and reviewing.
Hmm.
Editing and reviewing is very critical because it doesn't provide for just that. So it helps you not to take away things that doesn't make sense. So when you edit, it provide it provides for clearer understanding, for more clarity, and it makes your reading flow more freely. And so people will take up your book and they will be happy to read it. This
Yeah.
is my book, and so my director, she read it right through,
Okay.
and she was saying that it is an easy read, it is clear, it is
Good.
concise, and it just wasn't me, because you need a second pair of eyes. I do the writing, and I'm going to see everything looking good and dandy and fine because I wrote it and I want
Right.
it to be the best. But
Right.
if I give it to someone else, oh, I have done it before, you will be surprised. The errors that they find. And another thing, you have to be willing to take criticism. If you get offended that easily, you're not going anywhere. You have to step back and say, and be submissive, because we don't know it all. And without those editing and revising by other individuals, who are knowledgeable about your subject area, you can be in trouble. Don't just write it and put it out there. Get editing and revising. It is very critical for any piece of writing which you want people to pay attention to, capture the eyes, read easily, flow easily, and grammatical error free.
Yeah. That was really some excellent advice because I don't know how many times I have to tell people to edit, 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 because people tend to feel like, well, this is my work, it's my baby, so to speak, and it's perfect. Well, the idea may be perfect. That does not mean, however, that it is in its perfected state. So I used this example before. You have to just look at it like it's in a baby form. When you have children, you don't want your children to stay babies. Eventually, they got to grow up. So your baby has to grow up so they can mature and become the full book that you wanted to do. So
And
I
then
think
you alone can't grow those babies. You need help.
yeah, so but we don't want. I love what you said about kind of being humble and submissive in the writing process. We don't really think about it that way, but you really are. You have to trust whoever, whether you go a traditional route, whether you go a coach, whether you self-publish, whatever you do. When you give your work to somebody to help you, you got to be willing to submit to what it is they're going to offer you, and you have to come away believing that they want the best for you and out of you. So what do you hope? Let's talk about your book for a few minutes. What do you hope your readers take away from your book, and then just kind of give them an idea, a little bit about what the book is about.
So I want my readers to walk away knowing the main purpose of give kids an early start with art. The main purpose of the book, and put whatever they learn from reading the book into practice so that they can better support young children's early development. That's it. It's all in the book. It's all in the book. Um, and so this book is about the kids. It has a lot of different things in it. You got to buy the book.
Well,
You
and
got to buy
even
the book. There is
even
artwork in the book. There it has ideas. That's not the limit, but it has ideas in there that you can work with your kids in the era of art. So there is resource material, there are activities, and there are quizzes as well, and there are challenges to parents.
yeah,
Parents, childcare providers, preschool teachers, anyone who work with kids from birth to 8 years old, there is something in it for you. And there are examples that can tell you how important art is
yeah,
at this level. It's very important. It stimulates the brain, it stimulates the mind. I cater for children with special needs.
mm-hmm,
They are not special needs children, they are just children with special needs.
mm-hmm,
So I cater for them as well. So it's in its totality. It's small, but it's all in here and it's easy read.
yeah. And I think that's what was really interesting. Even just as your coach and reading through it, there was some things. It was places that I was like, oh, I did that. But it's, as a parent, sometimes you look at a kid's artwork and you don't necessarily look at it as anything other than they scribbled on a piece of paper type of thing. But even in reading your book, it gave some understanding to where they are, what that journey is. So I think it's good in that regard, in terms of helping out somebody understand what all of that looks like, and then also supporting the child in the process. So I think that was really one of the key things that I thought about when I read your book. So one other thing rather is like was helping coaching you. So what was the benefits of for you of having a writing coach? How did that benefit you?
Helped me stay on track
Mhm.
when I was feeling two things. There was sometimes I'm feeling like I can't be bothered,
Mm.
but my coach was there just to encourage me and to motivate me. And then there's another time when I'm like, chop, chop, chop. I need to get this done real fast. And it doesn't work like that because I understand. She would say to me, "Okay, so let's look at this." And when I look closely at what she's pointing to, there's something that's need to be reworded, or something where an area where the grammar wasn't correct. So your writing coach is not just to read through your book and guide you through the launching process. But my coach took me from beginning to end. She was able to help me to establish patience and to endure through the process. Because sometimes I'm like, oh my God. But she is always there. And what I love with her is that God is still in the picture. Even to start this interview, I had already prayed, but she prayed, and that gave me so much reassurance.
Yeah.
So whatever we are doing, for me, whatever we are doing, and for my coach, I can speak as well. Whatever we are doing, it's all for the Lord and
Yeah.
for His goodness, and so we don't leave Him out of the picture.
Nope.
So she is a tower of strength, I must say.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I just need to say this, um, with Miss Daly, she trusts me. Hazel trusted me to do something. So I had been creating book covers. I started creating book covers for myself, but she gave me the distinct honor of working on creating a cover for her. So this was a first because I don't generally create covers, but I created the cover for her. And so we worked through it. We was back and forth, but the good thing about it was I understand you wanted to look a certain way, and at the same time it's like, okay, we're working together. So that was what I think is key with anybody you're working with. If you have a coach that you don't feel like you're working together, that might not be the right coach. Because no matter, at the end of the day, it was still her project. So it was some things that was like, no ma'am, this is as far as we going. But other times it was like, okay, let's work this out. Let's handle this. There was something that I messed up, we fixed it, or we're working on fixing it. So sometimes, in our humanness, we're not perfect, but if you have somebody that's willing to work with you and you with them, I think that is really super, super important. So it's been really an honor to work with you on both books.
Thank you.
And so, I appreciate that, which really kind of leads into the next question, because we were coaching, but you was talking about how it helped you. Did my coaching in any way help you even improve or feel like you improved as a writer and in your writing skills?
Yes, definitely. Because there is something that's called run-on sentences. And even from the first book, I learned because of you when to cut a sentence. And I realized that cutting it at a certain point and starting a new sentence makes it for easier read and it flows better.
Yeah.
So you help me, and then with my grammar, you help me with that as well. And the paragraph, where to cut the paragraph. So it's hard for me to pinpoint everything, but
Sure.
I just want to say thank you for all that you do, because sometimes you keep going back and forth. I'm like, I would want to stop. 3 emails coming, I'm like, I feel like it's stop now. But then you keep going back, and I'm like, you are encouraging me. So I have to be your encourager as well
Thank
and stay the course. So I mean, you have been there right through both books. You have been a support. It's hard to write or say one thing that you work with, because you you come with me along the entire journey.
you. That's so
And you
beautiful.
promised that. That's what you promised.
Yep.
We'll come with you along the entire journey, and you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder when I would email you, I'm like, what is she doing? You answer right away. It doesn't matter what time. Even last night, it was after 9, and I sent you an email, and I'm like, when I look, you had already answered. So she's at your beck and call.
And I don't know if that's the pastor part of me or not. It's like, oh, but people need me, so let me reach out and help. Now, see, I don't want people to watch this and think, okay, this was just a, let's praise Jewel. No, no, really, what I'm trying to help you see why it's important not to go on this writing journey by yourself. Whether you use me as a coach, somebody else as a coach, you want to find somebody that you feel like is going to really handle your work and cherish it as much as you do. And so for me, that's what I did. I tried to say, okay, this is valuable to Hazel, so I want to put some value behind it in terms of time and effort, and those things. You kind of really answered this next question when you talk, which is, what were some of the common challenges or things that I helped you. You were able to overcome in the process. You really kind of spoke on this about just that patience part and then the pacing part. I want to talk about those a little bit if you don't mind, because we don't like to wait. I would tell people the minute I don't like the P word, being patient. So how did you allow that, our working together, to help you even to pace yourself and to stay patient in the process?
I'm not trying to overstate this, but is your approach.
Mm,
And people watching and listening, this wasn't pre recorded or pre planned.
yeah,
So I'm letting you know is your approach or tone and overall just a general um, demeanor.
yeah,
She's not rushing when I'm trying to push it through. She's calm and relaxed, speaking slowly. And she's, those are the things that help me to back up. Like, back up, you need to back up. So, because if it is your work
yeah.
and don't have the patience and she has the patience, then girl, fall in line, get in line. And so then I had to line up behind her because she is setting an example for me. Be patient, you will get this done. And when she said be patient and look at this, we look together, I am able to fix something, restructure a paragraph, and like, oh, I didn't see this. Things like those.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's all about her demeanor.
And so this is the piece that I want to add. Now, this wasn't one of the questions, but I'm going to throw this out here just because of the direction you went. One of the things that I appreciated, even with working with you, was this book was a little bit, we had a few more challenges in this book than we did the first one. And sometimes your first books tend to be the hardest. This was a little bit more challenging. We had, well, first, some of the challenge was because she trusted me to do the cover. So we had a few challenges there. The second thing that we had some challenges was some of the pictures. We had more graphics. Like, we had pictures in the first one because they were, it was a cookbook, but these were basically pictures she took. Some of the pictures, I don't know, for one reason, one of these little pictures, it was doing its own thing. It wouldn't show up. It did some crazy stuff. But and when she said we don't leave God out of this, I tell you, we don't leave God out, because I had to ask the Lord, help me fix this, because I said I was gonna fix it. I can't fix it. I don't know how to fix it because the picture was not showing up. So we had to find out what it was. To be honest, I can't even remember what it was, but I had to take it, do something with it, take a layer off of it, fix it.
Yes.
We put it back in, republished it, and voila, the picture came up. We was like, praise the Lord, praise the Lord. But I said that because she did. Now, I don't know what she did at home. She didn't say it to me. She didn't say why you messed this up. She didn't blame me for stuff that wasn't, a certain way. She didn't be like, oh, maybe I should quit. She stayed the course. So it wasn't just that I was there. She stayed the course. And so I would encourage, going back to encouraging the right, I would encourage you, even if you hit bumps in the road, that's called life, right? So
Yes.
you just kind of keep moving forward, because at the end of the day, what did we say? We had determined together that we was going to finish this. So how did you kind of deal with those sort of bumps in the road like that?
After we work on some things, I just trust you. We work on some things and we send them off, and we were waiting to get a response. And some things that you physically walk away with verbally and say you're going to fix, that was it. I just left it right there until when I hear from you again and we come back on the computer by Zoom or something. I never take it with me. I left it right there and I walk away. And then when we connect again, that's when I pick it up. So I never have anything negative or any thinking anything, whether positive or negative. I was just neutral.
Look, right, that look, I'm gonna tell you something, right? Look, I know we're talking about this book. That's a preach moment right there. Don't you know, sometimes we be like, Lord, help me, help me, help me. And he said, okay, put it in my hand. We too busy trying to hold it. We need to do that. We need to put it down and trust the process. Because that's really what you were doing. You were putting it in my hand to trust the process. The only difference is there's some things, because there were some things I had never experienced before. So we had the bumps in the road together. But because I've done this enough time, I just believed it's not going to be a permanent bump. We're gonna get through this, and we're gonna make it through. So, what upcoming projects do you have in the works?
Oh, I must say I am very grateful to God for walking with me on this journey. I say to God be the glory. He has not allowed me just to write one book, but He has given me the desire to write another book. So I have done two books in two different areas. One is a cookbook, and the other one is an educational book. And so right now, God is good. I am actually working on three manuscripts, three independent manuscripts. I don't really know. We this it's just God. Because if someone should ask me, "How did you think about and just start?" I don't know. He just gave it to me. So I'm working on three manuscripts right now, and with the help of God, I will be able to complete them. So for now, that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, yeah.
What I would encourage you all to do: stay the course, stay focused, stay connected, because there's much more in store. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes. Well, I want, again, she's got two books. With the one we were showing today is the book here. I'm just going to move her out of the moment for a minute so I can show you the book. The link will pop up in the comment section. It's Give Kids an Early Start with Art. Really, just some great details for a parent, for a caregiver, if you're doing a daycare, anything like that. Just a great information that you can use. And if you look her name up, you'll find her also. It's Cooking the Jamaican Way, correct? And so that book, in that one, she tested out some of the recipes. Some of the my daughter and some others tested those out. So these were some good opportunities for you to be able to test out what it was she did. So again, the information is in the comment. If anybody wants to get that, you can get her book on Amazon. For those that will be listening, her book is on Amazon, and it is Give Kids an Early Start with Art. And you can either Google her by her name, which is Hazel Gale, the dash Daily. So it's Gale Daily, and you can also get that book for her from her. And it's a very reasonable price. What is it, like $15.99?
Yes, yes.
Very reasonable price, very great information. And so, um, did you have anything else that you wanted to final thoughts or comments?
I just want to say it has been great working with you. And I also want to say I really appreciate those who have joined. And if you purchase the book and you have a question, I'm available. you can get in touch with me. I think my email address was, you want to put it in the chat?
Yeah, yeah, you can put it in there, and then yeah, so that is really great, and you can get the book, and even if you don't hear, you can always come back, because people have commented on in my inbox me, be like, hey, I would like to get in touch with the author. You can also do that as well. So I am excited that things are going well on the journey. I'm praying that not only does this book do well, but that every opportunity for writing that you do, that the Lord blesses you and you're
Thank you.
able to see that go to the fullness of what it is you are trying to do. And if we have any authors that come by or say, well, maybe I would like to coach, you can also reach me at Dr. Jewel Williams at publisheddivision.com. That's Dr. Jewel, Dr. Jewel Williams, all one word, at publisheddivision.com. So you can also email me there if you would like more information about Hazel as well. So thank you for joining us,
Thank
and
you all.
have a good rest of the day.
It was my pleasure.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.